All right, you guys, Trump has captured Maduro. A lot of people say that this is great, it's heroic, and a lot of people are, of course, criticizing it and saying that we have no business doing so and that this is in violation of his American First ideology that he ran on. Um, Truth be told, from my understanding, what it means is that a lot of fentanyl and a lot of drugs that have been coming in over the border was organized by an organized crime regime ran partly by Maduro or by Maduro. And I think that that's a win for America if we were able to capture him. I also feel like it does take away, like Venezuela being in cahoots with Russia and China. It makes that whole regime a little bit weaker. And ultimately, I think that there's a lot of wins to be set to a lot of wins to be seen from this capturing. And of course, you have your conspiracy theorists that are saying that this is all about getting to the Venezuelan oil or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I truthfully don't know. But weakening, geopolitical rivals, reasserting U.S. power, global reaction, and legal questions. I mean, there's some legality concerns, I guess, because he didn't get the congressional authorization, but I don't necessarily know if this means war, and I don't necessarily know if it doesn't mean that, then I don't know if it necessarily means that he needed congressional approval. I think that he's teetoed around congressional approval as it is. And listen, for right or wrong, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. I'm a Christian. I don't necessarily believe in putting, a picture of a auto pin for Joe Biden in the office with these tags underneath in the entire White House about how, especially like under Bill Clinton's, about how his wife ultimately lost to Trump in the election and like the smart ass comments and remarks. Like, I'm not rolling with that type of stuff, but it is to be expected, I guess. I think that might be crossing the line a little bit. I didn't necessarily expect Trump to go that far. So there's a lot of things that Trump does that I'm not cool with and that I'm not happy with. But I mean, love him, hate him, as long as the country is headed on an upward path, I think that that's a good thing. But even though a lot of people are saying it's headed down a downward spiral, I don't know. What I do know is that my trust is fully embedded within God, and my trust is fully embedded within Jesus. And um, I just pray that God blesses our land. But we should check into some of this Q&A that he had last night and see if we can kind of get an idea about whether we think that this was a good thing or a bad thing.
Mr. President, you said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So who's in power right now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly.
It's a fair stake to say, if that's the second thing you're talking about when we're talking about running their country, that it was a ploy to get the oil. And it very well may be, right? Like I said at the beginning of the video, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus's love and righteousness. And all we can really do is pray for our leaders to make the right moves and to make the right decisions and the right choices. But I frown upon everybody that just wants to critique and doesn't want to celebrate anything that he has done well. That's bothersome, right? With anybody. And I would feel the same way if anybody was in office, and let's say that I wasn't a big fan of them. When they get W's, bro, I'm going to tell them that they got a W, or I'm going to tell the people that they got a W. I think that it's unrealistic, and it's very difficult for us to just consistently drown ourselves in negativity and to drown ourselves in worrisome just stress, a big stress ball, right? Like, I don't think that that's a good move. I don't think that that's a good way to look at the world. I don't think it's a good way to look at the country. I don't think it's a good way to look at life. And I don't think it's a biblical way to look at life, right? I think that we should love our neighbor and love our God with all of our heart. And I think that if we're Christians, we should be showing the fruits of the Spirit. And if we're going to show the fruits of the Spirit, worrisome, anxiety, stress, conspiracy theorists is not part of those fruits, okay? But I do find it ironic that the second thing that he talks about is the oil, right? But, Either way, we can continue a little bit. I
They
want to hear what
will
he says.
be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
I love that. We're gonna make sure that those people are taken care of out there. That is kind of taking. It is kind of getting out of the way of American first, right? Like he ran on. We're putting ourselves first. Like we're not putting boots in the sand nowhere else. And we consistently see him having these ties or these beefs with these other countries. And maybe he just didn't understand that he was gonna have to take these measures. I don't know. It's truly impossible, and I feel like it's truly impossible to be a president today and just get nothing but gratitude and love, right? That's not happening. Like, it's not an exaggeration to say that people love to hate.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We
I mean, well, if we got to put boots on the ground, we're going to put boots on the ground, dog.
had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But
He needs to work on his oration skills a little bit as well, man. I mean, it's like at this point, it's a running joke, but it is like we have boots on the ground majorly. It was major boots on the ground. You wouldn't believe the amount of boots that we had on the ground, and the ground that it took to put the boots on was unshakable boots. Like it's he is a word salad guy, man. But at the end of the day, he does keep it pretty simplistic. So I can't hate him for keeping it simple.
we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is not. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot.
And you can see here how he is working on that. We could have lost a lot of people. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment not being as important as the people are, obviously. I do appreciate him adding those on. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a country, a lot of people are looking at him like he is heading towards a mountain of failure, right? My question, I guess, I don't even really need to watch much of this. We can move on. My question, I guess, to the people would be to those people that think he's moving towards a mountain of if you feel like he's just moving towards this mountain of failure, you got to realize that if that mountain of failure, let's put it this way, you can't do anything to stop it. You can do nothing to stop it, right? Um, but I don't think it's right to prey on his failure. I don't think it's right to prey on his failure because you're essentially preying on our failure if you are doing so. So I think that it would be a good idea for us to start praying for him. And I think it would be a good idea for us to all just start acting with each other, like based off of good faith principles, right? Like, I want to have conversations in good faith, knowing that I want the best for you and you want the best for me. I I don't see conversations like that happening enough, and I think that ultimately this move on Venezuela is a good move. I think it's good. I think it's good that he got Maduro. If it really is keeping a lot of drugs out of our country, I think that that's amazing. I hate drugs. I have a really nasty past with drugs, as a lot of you guys know. A lot of you guys that, swarm over here from my other channel, y'all know that I have a really nasty history with H. I have a really nasty history with amphetamines. And if I was doing what I was doing in my heyday today, I would 100% probably be dead because I didn't care what I was putting on my nose. I didn't care who I got it from. I just trusted. And I ultimately didn't really think too much about tolerance either, man. I just took it all the way there. So it would be very possible for me to be non existent today if the Lord didn't save me and if I didn't get my life right and if I didn't overcome those demons. So I'm passionate about this. This is something that I'm extremely passionate about. I hate the amount of drugs and the fentanyl and everything that's coming into our country. I love that if this really stops that, I love that it happened. Um, but that doesn't mean that like I have to agree with everything that he does, right? And I think that that's where people need to start showing a little like just because I say that doesn't mean that I think that what he did in the White House by putting those plaques under all the presidents with these, trolling comical captions, I don't think that that's right. You know what I mean? I think that's horrible. I think that we shouldn't do that. The not in the White House. It it's okay and two things can be true, right? Like that's a horrible thing, but he did right here. And I think that that's what we need to start getting back to is let's point out the things that people do right and let's point out the things that people do wrong. And just because we really hated that wrong thing that they did, that doesn't take away from the rights that they do. First Thessalonians 5:11 tells us to comfort ourselves, right? It says, "Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another." Not tear each other down just because you disagree with this or you disagree with that. And it also says to render therefore to all their dues, honor to whom honor. And that's Romans 13:7. I think that we need to get in our word, me included, and I think that this is something that we need to start studying and learning how we can be more Christ-like as Christians so that we can be that light at the top of the hill and so that we can be that light and that shining example to others. So that when people are worried and they're troubled and they're stressed and they're anxious, they look at us and they think, "Why are you not?" And we point to Jesus. We can be a light of hope to those people. And I feel like that's part of what we're called to do as Christians. It's why we need to be Christ-like. And that's something that I'm passionate about. So you're never going to catch me over here bashing Trump for all the wrongdoings that he does, but not giving him honor when honor is due. In the same way, you'll never find me doing that with anyone, right? So I think that that's something that we need to start working on and focusing on, especially as Christians. And I just feel like we've gotten to the point where no matter what he does, you'll never be able to look at it as a win because you're disgusted by him. And if you're a Trump guy, like you really love Trump, we're unfortunately also in a place where you're never going to be able to see his wrongdoings. And that's a dangerous place to be, my friends. Change up your algorithm, get off the internet, talk to people in real life, have honest, open, good faith conversations with real people with real opinions, and get off of the internet. That would be my advice. But ultimately, I think that this is a win. I think that the capturing of Maduro is a win. I think it's a win. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank y'all. Make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button, and I will see y'all on the next one. All right? Peace.